Okay, I'm finally going to talk to MacEwan University in Alberta, and I hope that I don't waste too much of my time. We'll see how it goes. Supposedly, I have a link in my spam. People say that all the time with what assumptions they make. Or I could join by pressing this link, which didn't work with Safari because it was blocked as a pop-up. Let's see here. Allow this time.
Hi, Martin. How are you?
Good, you?
I'm good. My name is Jennifer, and I'm an advisor with McEwen's Academic Advising Center.
Okay.
How can I help you today?
Oh, well, it's just what I've sent in already. If we can start talking about that, maybe you have
Sure.
answers. And if we only have 30 minutes, I guess part of it might be used in you convincing me to choose your university because I haven't made a lot of progress with contacting the university in the last few months or in getting, the right kind of conversation going. So.
Sure. So you're looking at the Bachelor of Early Childhood Curriculum Studies program?
Yeah, it's one of two, and I kind of think that's the better fit for me, but maybe you can tell me the difference between the two, but there's not much I can see online. One thing I was wondering why it's not mentioned is I would assume after a bachelor's you have what in BC is called the ECE designation. I don't know if it's called exactly the same thing in Alberta.
Yeah. So this program, this is aimed at working with children from birth to 5 years. So it's with preschool age children. So working in like daycares or preschool settings. The program it's a 4-year degree program, but it also has you have the option of exiting with a 2-year diploma as well. In the first 2 years of the program of the degree, they meet the requirements, the certification requirements of a level 3 early childhood educator certification through Alberta's Children's Services. So you can finish the full degree or you can exit with the diploma, and then you would apply for certification through, for example, Alberta's Children's Services. So you don't get like a teaching certificate after completing the program. You'll get your degree or your diploma. This program, you wouldn't be able to. It's not like a bachelor's of education program where you would be working with in schools with K to 12. So you would need like a bachelor of education program for that to teach in schools.
So Jennifer, I'll cut in a bit here to tell you what I understand so far. First, you can explain level 3 what that means if it's the higher one, and the other thing is after asking about the teaching degree part you do after a bachelor's often is I notice it wasn't on the university curriculum, so I already know that part. And for me, I wanted to focus on the 3 to 5 year old. But also, my first question is just asking you the difference between the two bachelors, because there's no specifics, about that. That's still what I want to be sure about.
What's the other bachelor's that you're looking at?
Well, it's not exactly called the same thing. The other one is also related to working with that age group, I think. So, it's in the same faculty. One has the word
Bachelor of
curriculum, the other
Child and
doesn't.
Youth Care.
Yeah. So,
Child
what's
and
the
Youth Care.
difference between them?
Yeah, so this one, you wouldn't receive any sort of certification or with that one, you get your degree. It also has the option of exiting with a child and youth care diploma, but you would be able to work with students as a youth worker, family support worker, working as a child and youth care counselor, out of school care worker, that kind of thing. Different places you could work within that field would be like in treatment centers, group homes, youth centers, family support programs,
So it doesn't have
community-based programs.
the ECE, but does it in Alberta fit some sort of need? Because for me here studying the BC, job market, I haven't noticed, that such a bachelor's is required or that it even exists here for the examples of jobs. So the things that you're talking about, they exist a lot and they'd be looking for that bachelor's, or are you guys kind of new with this and you're hoping it'll catch as an industry kind of tradition, but also to the way you described it, it would have a strong social worker or counseling skills related component to it. But it's hard for me to see all this because I don't think I see the courses described in
If you want to look at the course, for example, let me see.
So with just that bachelor's, the one that doesn't have the word curriculum, is you don't have any kind of certification with the province.
So this program, like the child and youth care, is in a regulated field right now in Alberta. So it's supposed to be coming down the line as you get you're registered as part of, like with social work, you're registered as a social worker within the Alberta College of Social Workers, right? Right now, child and youth care in Alberta is not regulated, so you don't get that licensing or registration with it. So it would just depend on what you're looking for as like employment. If you're looking, I'll show you a good tool to use, but let me share my screen. Here.
So the one that has the ECE after the 2 years, that is also an individual that could likely be hired in all the other jobs you described for the other bachelors, right? It
depends on what the employer's looking for, really, right? I'm not a career counselor, right? Okay. So I can't really speak to what the qualifications are that an employer is seeking. So it would be up to the individual employer what kind of certifications they're looking for. Certainly with child and youth care, you can work in all different fields and sectors of that, but the ECE would be, you wouldn't be able to work with like school age children, like K to 12 in the school setting. ECE, majority of the students that are in this program, they're looking to go and work in like daycares, preschools, that kind of thing, working within, or even a day home type of situation.
While
right?
The other one would be a variety of industries where you included even recovery or remote communities because it has a strong social worker component. Now, would that bachelor's, the one that's called, you're showing me, Bachelor of Child and Youth Care, would that qualify as in Alberta, a social worker certification equivalency?
It wouldn't be equivalent. However, like if you decided that you wanted to go in and do a master's in social work, depending on where you're looking at, like what institution you're looking at to do that master's program, usually for admission requirements for a master's program, you need a 4-year degree program or a bachelor's program. And so that could potentially fulfill that admission requirement to then pursue
does it
master's.
Have a lot of social worker credit courses, this one? Like, do they fall
not
under
specifically
SO?
Like,
no?
I'll show you the courses that you would do. So these are this is the program of study. So this is the courses that you would complete within that. Are you on a laptop? I can send you this link as well.
Okay, so let's end with this one because for me, I kind of am specific of what I'd like. For example, infants is not an age group that I have a passion to work with compared to in my past. I really enjoyed the 3 to 5, and in fact, they benefit more from my other training, such as a life skills coach, because they are learning these patterns more easily at that age. And before that age, it falls more under nurturing. And it's just my cat's moving here. So, nurturing for me, below two should be either females more or the parents themselves. So, I'd
Hmm.
like to focus on my psychological development strengths. So, for
Yeah.
me, that age group is
And
better.
yeah,
Now,
this program is probably more what you're looking for.
okay,
You
so
also
let's.
do you do practicums as well as part of this program. So you're placed in different areas within like social services placements type
Oh,
of
you
thing too.
guys,
So
you guys arrange that. We don't have to do the work to find all these practicums. You
yeah,
have the connections.
yeah.
Oh, that's good. Now, the other question I had is when I noticed there was not a teacher certification with your university, is there was also a social work kind of diploma where you can sign up for the
Hmm.
4 year, but then kind of, stop at the 2 year. And for me, that'd be a good merger to maybe do both at the same time because I would assume that a lot of the courses that I've taken so far would be credited for this particular bachelor's, and that would allow me, to merge some other courses at the same time. So social work was one, and the other one was a psychiatric nurse, uh,
Hmm.
which also had like a 2 year thing. But I didn't see how much of the courses related to the hard sciences, like biology or chemistry or. Um,
Yeah. So the psychiatric nursing would you would be required to have like for admission requirements your grade 12 biology, grade 12 chemistry, your grade 12 math, like pre-calculus, that kind of thing. So it does require those hard sciences for admission into that program. Social work diploma. So we have the social work diploma and then we have the bachelor's of social work as well. In order to do the bachelor's, you need to either have the a social work diploma, an Alberta accredited social work diploma, or you could go the university, the 60 university level credit route as well. So if you have 60 university level credits, plus some specific courses, you could go into this program, and it's just a 2 year program. So you get credit for your 60 credits that you've previously completed, and then the program itself would be a year 3, year 4 program. So 2 years, and then you would get your Bachelor of Social Work.
Okay, and I would get that probably at the same time as I'd be working on this one because I'd have, or
So
am I going to be full
at
time with year 3 and 4 kind of thing?
at McEwen, you can only do one program at a time.
Okay.
So you would have to do just one of those programs, and then if you wanted to continue on after, so say for example you wanted to do 2 years of the Bachelor of Child and Youth Care, if you wanted to just get your Child and Youth Care diploma, that 2 years, then you could potentially use those 2 years for admission into the Bachelor Social Work program and do 2 years in the Bachelor Social Work program as well.
But we're looking at 4 years. And Jennifer, I
Yeah.
don't know if you got a chance to look at my resume, but my bachelor's uh, was completed at the University of Ottawa in the 90s, and it's
Mm-hmm.
majoritively, psychology courses. Then I have a
Mm-hmm.
diplôme d'études collégiales, a DEC from Quebec, which has, a variety of humanities and science courses. But
Mm-hmm.
I also have my life skills coach training, which was 2 months full time, and which also is stated to be something that you can get 6 credits for for university courses related to child and youth care as well. But other things like this that for me, I'd have to, like, you're an advisor, but I don't know if there's a particular role of somebody where these programs we're talking about are under the same faculty, and I could have 1 or 2 meetings with them online like this and discuss, how to make this work in a shorter amount of time with what I have already and what my goals are. Because, you know, some of what I saw is a little bit online, but some has to be in person. But I don't mind
Yeah.
relocating. So then I'd have to ask questions about relocating because I secured housing here and it's not easy, and I
Mm-hmm.
would lose it, going too long. But I don't mind relocating, and that means, I want to be sure that if I'm moving to a different province, that I get the equivalence of the certifications that they want, and that I'll work in the field that for me is a passion, not necessarily just to get work, but to
Hmm.
actually enjoy and make a difference. And I'm flexible, so I don't know if you have people at your university that are connected with the ministries of the province that know what's happening and could help with things like relocation and signing contracts, so I'm not stuck in student loans because I signed a contract I would work for that ministry. So I don't know if there is somebody at the university I can have these conversations with, but that's the next step, and we kind of have to hurry up because a lot of these programs, the deadlines are in a few weeks. So
Yeah. So let me just look. So we have faculty advisors who work with like the current students. So they only meet with students who are the are current, right? So BCYC is open until June 30th.
are you showing me
Bachelor
the
Social.
dates of the final application deadline? Because I
Yeah.
thought it was May for these ones. Did they get extended?
No. So it could have been like the applications. So international applicants, they have to apply by May 1st.
Okay.
But June 30th is the deadline for BCYC
Okay, if
and
you stop there, we have the curriculum study,
yeah,
and I'll memorize that. It says June 30th.
yeah,
Okay, and the one that's social worker, is it under the same faculty?
yeah. They're all under the Faculty of Health and Community
And
Studies.
same deadline? And then the other one was psychiatric nurse. Is that
That one is also open as well until June 30th.
and it's at a different location? I don't know where that is. Ponoka?
So this one has two cohorts. So there's two different locations that it's offered at. So Edmonton City Center and then
Okay.
Ponoka, which is about an hour south of Edmonton.
Okay. Okay. And you're saying that is also the same faculty?
Uh, Bachelor of Psychiatric Nursing falls under Faculty of Nursing.
Okay.
This one is competitive, so you do need those hard science courses in math.
Well, yes,
Yeah,
in
the
high
grade
school
12
I
ones. Yeah,
completed them, and some
yeah,
are higher level in my college degree,
yeah,
like statistics and things like
yeah.
that. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't think I'll have problems meeting the basic criteria, but I do kind of want to be sure that what I've taken so far is maximized. Last
Mm-hmm.
question so far that has come up during this
Yeah.
conversation is when I went to University of Ottawa, it was very high grades you needed for the psychology bachelor's. So
Mm-hmm.
what I did is I changed faculty a few times where I was focusing on choosing a lot of electives that were psychology. The only one I couldn't take is the one psychology course that was limited to blocking it to only psychology students. But still, my psychology credits were more than the psychology courses and people that had that. And
Mm-hmm.
it was because back then I had issues as a student. I didn't understand how my brain worked for learning as well as I do now, and I have years of tutoring experience of others. So
Mm-hmm.
I receive tutoring and I've tutored others. So for me, I don't get intimidated by this anymore. And in fact, when I tried taking the ECE course, when my supervisors who saw I was really better than them, especially with the children they were assigning me that were harder for them, is they said, "Oh, we'll support you." But when I go to that college in BC, I'm getting the teacher telling me how happy she is that I'm there stimulating conversation. She's sharing things like how she's very disappointed that her faculty is telling her to dumb down the courses that she's been given for 20 years because there's complaints from the students. So I know it was a devolving culture. And for me, students, I heard from another student, is sometimes thought I was the teacher. So for me, getting into student loans for things that often I think I could teach is, there's a limit of how much of that abuse I would take, to further a career. Really, I'm looking for PhDs in things, but getting reason-based or adult level responses from universities around the world seems problematic. It seems like everybody's so domesticated that they're not used to getting somebody even asking questions, even though there's an email if you gotta ask questions about this PhD, is people just don't want to go there, which for me is like I'm not gonna move myself and my feline friend somewhere when there's such a minimal effort. So far I would like to see these efforts. But I already have a bachelor's and I have a graduate diploma. This is all the master's courses except for the thesis. And the reason I didn't do the thesis were the supervisors I had were intimidated with my subject, which had more science than they were used to. And it was actually, I was going to focus on the K to 12 curriculum research and see if it developed more of an ecocentric worldview to prepare the next generation for the environmental challenges they were going to face. So I got frustrated after two supervisors that really just didn't want to even learn what they didn't know to be my supervisors. So I still have this. I have like 3 post-secondary degrees plus one I created after that one didn't work, and that was years of me posting this master's to develop an ecocentric worldview online. So for me to do a bachelor's when I already have a lot of the work experience and courses, for me it has to be really the university is excited to have me there. And what I wrote so far that you might have read in the 4 points is there's so much I can offer back to a university. So I need for you to find out if there's anybody at the university that would be excited about me relocating my life to you, and maybe has connections, in the other faculty or even in ministries that, hey, yes, we are thinking of relocation incentives to fill our industry needs. So Jennifer, I would like for you to maybe follow up with that before I hear back from you guys so that I know I'm not doing the work that others should be doing to say, Martin, we've come up with some sort of plan for you, because I'm not moving without a very structured plan, and I do prefer doing things in person than online when it comes to learning or tutoring others. Yeah.
I can certainly have a conversation with my manager and see if she can put you into contact with maybe the faculty advisors over in Faculty of Health and Community Studies. And then, but yeah, I'll forward her your information and see if she'd be willing to have a conversation with you and maybe reaching out to the other faculties and see.
There was a job posting that I saw on the website, and I sent an email and I didn't get an answer back, and it relates to teaching psychology, because I took a lot of counseling skills training, and I ended up even teaching counseling skills when I was in Uganda to people that were already working as counselors, and they didn't have any of the basics. So that's something I enjoy doing. So that means I could help you guys create that curriculum for teaching basic counseling skills, which seems to be very useful for a lot of the types of programs that you're giving at your university. But I don't think there's anything I saw that relates to teaching counseling skills. I mean, I know people that took the Athabasca Masters, and they barely practiced counseling before getting a certification to be counselors. So I think...
And I mean, at McEwen, we don't have any master's programs, right? We're strictly undergraduate programs. So if you're looking more for like graduate programs like masters, that kind of thing, we wouldn't have those programs.
I already know that. But what I'm looking at here on the page you're showing me is this requires working with people. So that means there should be at least 3 or 6 university credits about learning basic counseling skills, where it's workshops you're doing and you split up in pairs of 2s or 3s and you practice these skill sets. Because if we don't do that, then we don't catch up with healing and wellness and cultural repair. So for me, I could help design this as a way, to associate myself and show this, demonstrate these skill sets and how to incorporate them into these programs. That's something else you could do as a selling point. I have a lot to offer as a polymath, but what I have to offer is not tuition fees to get into your balance sheets. What I have to offer is human thinking tools as a learning specialist and help the culture of learners and post-secondary institutions. So please, Jennifer, pass on that information, because I could send a lot more information.
I can speak with my manager and I will give her your contact information, and she can reach out to you and see if you guys want to have a conversation. Yeah.
Because I can let go of the teacher certification to work, in elementary, or I don't know if you have middle school there or high school. But I could still, with, let's say, this bachelor's and a link to social work, sometimes be hired in a school as a school counselor in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
provinces, which would be a good fit for me to that community because I'm not afraid
Mm-hmm.
to give professional development training to the teachers, to meet with the parents, all these things. You can't just work with one element of the entire community. So for me, you know, adding those strengths as well, I don't need to get a master's in counseling. If I have a
Mm-hmm.
designation sometimes where people assume social workers have counseling training when
Mm-hmm.
usually they don't. But I know I would, and I would be able to kind of sell that on my resume as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure. All right. So what I'll do is I'll after our meeting, I have a couple of appointments after this, so I have another one coming up at 1:30. But I'll talk to my manager and give her your information, and then
I
she
meant
like
I
she
meant
can.
I mentioned coaching badminton. Then I go look at your sports
We
teams, and
don't
I
have
saw
a
four
badminton
sports,
team.
and I don't think badminton was there. So again,
Yeah.
if you want to do that, I mean, I have my certification, which is national now for coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So it's another
Mm-hmm.
thing to sell. I mean, I had a driving school. If you guys want to offer a driver training program, like
Yeah.
associating, I might start as a student and maybe tutor others, but eventually I could become one of the faculty that helps build a university. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
alrighty.
All right.
I do like
Okay.
that the
So
programs fit more kind of the humanities and social sciences. Like if I saw a lot was
yeah.
related to business or economics, it'd be less of a good fit. But your university seems kind of a little bit more themed to what I would appreciate. So,
Yeah. Okay.
okay, Jennifer,
Sounds
have a good
good. All
one. And
right.
I know I probably
Thank you.
might not hear from you today if you're very busy, or maybe later in the day,
Yeah.
or on Monday. So have a good
Sure.
weekend, but please
Yeah.
follow up
You too.
soon because we're almost at the end of April.
Sure. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye
Okay.
bye.
Bye bye.